It is Thursday, April 7th. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. And now, the problem with his golf game is that he's standing too close to the ball after he hits it. J.P. Shadrick.
One of many issues with it, and welcome in. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. My name's J.P. Shadrick. We've got a busy show ahead as usual. Jaguars analyst Jeff Lageman joining us. We're about 15 minutes away from Mike Caldwell, Jaguars defensive coordinator, joining us live in studio. We'll get his thoughts about the Jaguars free agency class, a couple of additions, well, 3 additions on defense of the big 3 at the start of free agency, and what it's been like to kind of craft this defense. And hey, the players come in next week for the offseason program, the voluntary part of it, and they'll have a chance finally to sit down with the players. We'll get with Mike Caldwell coming up. Prospect visits are underway. You've seen reports of players around the Jags facility, and, of course, we'll go around the NFL. Plenty of news around the league. Jeff Lageman joining us now. Good afternoon to you, Logs.
How you doing, JP?
Doing well, thank you.
You a golfer?
Very rarely and very poorly.
Really?
Yes.
I see that Tiger Woods is just about completed his round. He's -1.
Yeah, he just birdied 16 on like a 25-foot putt. Place went nuts, and that's been the big watch today because you don't know. It's the walk, really, for him. He said he can hit all the shots still in his press conferences earlier this week, and so far it's proven out that way.
Yeah, I played golf a lot when I was younger. I don't play anymore for the most part. And but to watch him and to see him, what he's doing right now, I mean, wow. Congratulations to him to be able to fight back from the accident that he had, what was it, about a year ago?
14 months ago, yes.
14 months ago, and to see him playing in a tournament, congratulations to him. That's cool stuff.
It really is. We'll see how the rest of the weekend goes, but the Jaguars, things are about to get busy. Prospect visits are underway. The offseason program is next week. There was there's reports about the draft and what the Jags may or may not do there. That always is happening. So
the draft talk will be endless until it happens.
And then, of course, when it happens, then the next draft talk begins.
Well, wait a minute. But then you got grades, and did they do good? How'd their draft class go? Everybody's got to put a grade on it. But until then, you got to have 1,000 mock drafts, and I think this draft is kind of interesting from my standpoint. Is that I only watch the top. Eventually, I'll watch the top 50, 75 guys, something like that, first couple rounds, and on a normal draft year, there's usually about 5 guys somewhere in that range. Could be less, could be a little bit more. That usually are at the top of the draft, and you say that is the elite part of the draft, and do you have that elite 5 guys in this draft class? I don't think you do. And I think that makes the Jaguars to be in a position that may be unenviable or not very enviable, because you'd like to be somewhere to where you feel like you're in a position of strength as far as drafting, where you're in a spot that other teams would like to be. And I don't get that feeling from watching some of these prospects, because people have asked me before, hey, who do you think the top 5 guys are? And I can tell you, JP, I can take about 10 guys, maybe about 15 guys, and honestly, on one day I'll pull 5 guys out of that bag and put them in order, and then ask me again tomorrow, and I may change my mind, because there's a lot of guys that are real close. Really close. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I wish it was a draft class, because the Jaguars have the first overall pick. I wish it had a clear-cut number 1 quarterback.
Oh, that would help
because
everything.
If you had that, you would be in the catbird seat like nobody's business. But you're not, because that quarterback is not there. It doesn't exist. Now, does it exist for the 5th pick, the 6th pick, the 7th pick? That may be where that first quarterback ends up falling to.
But nobody's fighting to get to number 1.
No.
Right.
No, because a lot of people think, hey, look, if I move to 5 or 6, I might be able to get there. Some people may say they can get that quarterback at 7.
This came up on, I think, the Huddle Up podcast yesterday with Bucky. would Josh Allen, the Jaguars' Josh Allen, if he was coming out this year in this group of prospects, would he be the number one pick? Would he be the best player in this draft
He'd
class?
be in the conversation. I mean, literally. I mean, I think that's what this draft class is, and that was Josh Allen one of those 5 elite prospects. I think he was right there.
Yeah. And he slipped, remember? Like there was
Slipped a little
weird
bit.
thing above him.
And don't know exactly why, okay?
Well, the Raiders picked the different guy. They picked Cleveland Farrell. And
yeah,
like,
but I
what
mean,
are
I
we
don't
doing?
understand why that happened.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
was that Mike Mayock? Was that John Gruden? I mean, who knows? But there's absolutely, when it happened, because I had watched the film on both of the guys, Josh and then the whoever the Raiders picked,
Cleveland Farrell.
Farrell,
Mm-hmm.
and I went, I can't believe they did that. And I said that on our broadcast with me and Frank and Tony, and I was like, I can't believe that the Raiders drafted Cleveland Farrell. Are you kidding me? What a mistake. And then it pushed Josh Allen down to the Jaguars, and I was like, this is a no-brainer. And I guarantee you that if you asked the people that were in that room and got the truth, that they felt that there was no way that Josh Allen would have been available to them at that spot. But he was.
Works in mysterious ways.
So would he be in
would
the
he
discussion? Absolutely, he'd be in the discussion at first overall pick, just because of his versatility. I mean, he's Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, Josh Allen, when he was at Kentucky, was an Aiden Hutchinson. The only thing I think that may give Aiden Hutchinson a little bit of the lead over a Josh Allen if they were in the same draft class right now might be that Aiden Hutchinson played at Michigan or plays at Michigan, and Josh was at Kentucky. Now Kentucky's not Eastern Kentucky or Western Central Kentucky.
SEC school, and they had a fantastic year that year. They were on TV a lot, like the national game a lot. I mean, they were out there. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, so he had a lot of things going. But I get what you're saying.
I get your point that he probably would be in the conversation for the first overall pick of the draft, and I think that's very interesting conversation. And I will tell you this, that we're going to talk about some of the other prospects because there's a safety at Notre Dame. There's a defensive outside linebacker that hasn't and thinks he should be in the conversation with the first overall pick. There's a Greek pass rusher who goes to Purdue, who I love. There's a lot of prospects that are very interesting in this draft class, and I think that I think your most value is going to be somewhere in the middle of the first round, to be honest with you. Because I think that you're going to get a really good player in the middle of the first round. So I would put it this way. If the Jaguars could trade the first overall pick and move to 5 overall and then maybe pick up a second-round pick, I mean, I'd do it in a minute. I would do it in a minute.
Yeah, why not?
Get more picks, and I don't think being in the top 5 is that important this year.
Jaguars Happy Hour on 1010XL AM and Jaguars.com. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. This is prospect visit time. Each team gets 30 visits of prospects. It can be any level, doesn't matter, all that. You can invite anybody you want. In fact, there was one team that invited a former lacrosse player to come as a visit. Of course, played quarterback at Division II last year.
Do they have to publish?
Yes. You have to put your list out. Everybody knows who's coming, so you have to strategize a little bit. You may not want to put out who you're really taking.
And that's kind of my point, is that because you're publishing that, are some of the visits just a simple smoke screen? Could be.
Maybe.
Could be. I will tell you this, that I think if any teams waste a visit on a smokescreen, then I think they're making a major mistake. You've got to, because here's the thing. Nobody knows how much you truly covet somebody or where you covet somebody. You may bring one of those 30 in that you like in round 3. But does that mean that you bring somebody in who you would not draft at all to pass up the opportunity to get further evaluation of somebody that you would absolutely draft? I think that would be crazy if you would do that. You can't pass up the opportunity to gather more information to simply create a smokescreen. because there are players that you want to that you like in round 1, in round 2, in round 3, and round 4. So bring in guys throughout the draft class that you like. Don't waste those 30 visits on, we just want to throw some people off the trail. It's a waste of time.
When those visits happen, I don't know, did you do these when you were playing?
No, they didn't have
They
these.
didn't have it.
No, they didn't have
back
these.
then.
No, when I was coming out, the combine was the combine. That's still what it is today as far as the physical testing and the physical evaluation, medical checks. That's all unchanged. The part that's a little bit different is the interview process. It was very informal at the combine. You didn't have these structured, you get 15 minutes with each team, and then they blow a horn, and then you move off to the next station. They didn't do that. It was very informal.
Yeah.
Very informal. Hey, look, can you come and talk to, at the time it was Marty Schottenheimer was with the Kansas City Chiefs, Carl Peterson and Marty Schottenheimer. Can you come and talk to them? Sure, I'll come talk to them. And sat down and talked with those two guys and talked with some different personnel guys and different coaches and such. And then after the combine, we didn't have a pro day at University of Virginia. I was open for business. Come to the football office. They'll call me and say, hey, look, Dave Wanstead of the Dallas Cowboys is going to be here on Tuesday. Can you work out for him? Sure. Yeah, no problem. So I worked out for Dave Wanstead, worked out for different coaches, from different football
Other days they'd call you and come on down.
Yeah. So, it wasn't like one day. I think I worked out about 10 times for 10 different people and probably about 5 different teams. Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Jets, the Dallas Cowboys were among quite a few of them. But it's just so more refined now and more planned now than it ever has been. But the purpose of it all hasn't changed, though, which is they're trying to gather as much information as they can. But we never traveled, JP, to answer the original question.
You did not.
Never traveled to another team's facility to have a conversation. That didn't happen. I don't even think it was allowed.
Yeah, when is
at that time?
When did that really become a thing? 10 years ago? 15 years ago?
I think so, something like that. Because that wasn't allowed as far as I knew. So they could come to you, but they could not or didn't fly you into their place to talk to you in person. That just didn't happen. By the way, at the airport, because I guess a lot of these reports that some of these prospects were in town Monday, and I'm sure more were in.
There's different days. In different organizations. I think in the past year they did like everybody in 2 big days, but maybe they're spreading out some according to reports now. It's just different approaches.
And I heard that Aiden Hutchinson, Kwanu, the tackle from NC State, was in town. I can tell you he was in town for sure. I saw him at the airport.
Big?
Big.
Real big.
I'm talking big dude. When I say big, arguably one of the biggest chest upper bodies that you would ever see on a human being.
Really?
He's like barrel-chested. He's a big guy now because when you watch the film on him, when he finishes guys, he has the ability to what I call throw guys out of the bar, and just by pressing guys with his upper body. And when I got the chance to see him in person, I was coming in on the airport or through the airport on Monday and happened to see him going out in the afternoon. And I was like, that's a big dude.
And, some might ask, hey, how did you know it was him? Well, you probably know it's him. He's that bigger than
I know what he
everybody
looks
else
like.
in the airport.
I know what he looks like.
But he's 6'5" and 330 or
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah,
he kind of sticks out in the airport. You know
think?
What I mean?
Yeah, it's
I
kind
don't
of
think
hard.
He was sitting in coach either.
It's kind of hard to miss a guy when he is that big. I can tell you that. He's a monster guy. He's big. Now, Aiden Hutchinson, he might be able to squeeze by without, noticing. But a guy that's 320-ish, 315, 320, and has got that barrel chest. It's kind of hard not to notice that. Because my first thing was like, that dude's big right there. But I bet you he lifts weights. And I looked closer and I said, that's Icky, man. That's Icky. Cool.
Let's come back in a moment. We're out to Mike Caldwell, defensive coordinator. He'll be joining us at some point very soon here on the program, here on Jaguars Happy Hour. And there's no better time to become a Daily's Place Blue member than right now. Get access to the best seats and amenities, premium parking, and more. for all shows during 2022. This year's shaping up to be one of the best yet. Dave Matthews Band 2 nights, Keith Urban 2 nights, and so much more. Email ticketing at boldevents.com or call 904-633-2000. We're off and running. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
From vintage sneakers to bacon-scented soap to water fountains for your pet, all can be had with a few simple clicks. Problem is, you never really know what you're going to get until they show up at your door. Introducing Ford Blue Advantage. It's used car buying that's built for you. Not only can you shop for used vehicles online, in person, or both, you can also test drive before you buy, so you know exactly what you're getting. Plus, get history reports, vehicle inspections, Ford warranties, and the expertise of factory-trained techs. Visit FordBlueAdvantage.com today.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Jaguars fans, this year's draft day is taking over the Vegas Strip, and you could be there by entering to win the TIAA Bank Draft Day Sweepstakes at TIAABank.com/draft. One lucky fan will win a trip for two with airfare, hotel, and draft day tickets to see the Jaguars' first pick. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Open to legal residents of the U.S. 18 and older. Enter from March 21st to April 8, 2022. Visit TIAABank.com/draft for official rules. Sponsor and administrator, TIAA Bank.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
The station that the Jaguars listen to, 1010XL. Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, Mike and I go way back, as players together. I've always had a lot of respect for him. You know, we worked together on Coach Reed's staff, in Philadelphia. I also worked with Todd Bowles, and so when Todd left, he took Mike with him. And so I've always followed Todd and Mike, kind of their defenses, whether in New York and Arizona, Tampa Bay, and always felt like Mike would make a really good defensive coordinator one day. Just given an opportunity, and that's kind of like when I was a coordinator. Somebody had to give me an opportunity, right? And he and I got to have a great relationship, and I'm excited to watch him work, call defenses, and go to work this year.
That's head coach Doug Peterson last week at the NFL annual meeting in Palm Beach, discussing Jaguars defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell, longtime player in the NFL, longtime coach in the NFL. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, and speaking of, here's Mike Caldwell in studio with us. It's great to see you. Thanks for the time today, Coach. What's
thanks
up?
for having me.
So here we are. You heard Doug Peterson there last week. You've known this guy for a long time. Played together in the league. Kind of and now finally get to be on a staff with him again. You were with him in Philadelphia. How has it been the first few months settling in as a coaching staff here together?
Been great. Really a lot of work that's going in. Everyone excited, trying to get in, get the scheme going, get the lay of the land, and just excited, ready to go, ready to get the players in here.
How many guys on the defensive staff did you have a relationship with prior to being named the defensive coordinator?
Pretty much everyone except Coach Gilbert and Coach Sutton. Everyone else knew those guys from whether it was from Arizona or Philadelphia or even Tampa Bay. So the staff has really came together pretty good, and we're in there, we're grinding it out, and just ready to go.
And now what is it? I think next week the players are allowed to be in. You guys aren't allowed to put your hands on them just yet. But how nice will that be? Because when you coach, you got to have players, and so now the players will finally be coming in here in about a week or so.
Yeah, it's off-season is strange. You can meet the guys, but you're unable to coach the guys. And I consider coaches teachers. So it's hard to be a teacher when you have no one to teach. So we're teaching and bouncing things off each other now, and real excited, ready to get the players in here so we can let them have it and understand and see what they grasp and what they don't, then get it to them another way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Mike Caldwell with us, the Jaguars defensive coordinator here on Jaguars Happy Hour. You can have a defensive scheme in mind, a plan, put some things in, but then if the players and the personnel have a different way of doing it or can't, or have different things, you have to adjust on the fly. That's what this offseason is about, figuring out what your players do best, right?
Exactly. That's where the camps come in. As soon as we can get there and get them out, able to run around and go against the offense, now we can actually see what guys can do. And I'm a big believer of if you can do it well, let them do that. Don't ask them to do something they don't do well. So I would need to find out what everyone can do well, and we'll scheme it around their ability.
So with part of this process, when you have a new staff and first-time defensive coordinator, everybody's got to learn to speak the same language, okay? Everybody needs to know what a pirate or a spike or a ram or all these different terminologies are. Are you starting to get to that point where everybody is starting to speak the same language?
We're trying to. There's Pat Riley. He's a holdover from the last staff, brilliant guy, and he's really our quality control. So he handles most of the playbook stuff. So we're actually putting it on him to make sure everyone's speaking the same language. You might call the halfback a R, and everyone else calls it a H. So that's the type of stuff that we're working through right now, and it's going great. The guys are there, real receptive of learning new things because, just like you said, with terminology, it's going to be different. You're not going to call it what you've called it for the last 4 or 5 years. So you're going to have to understand it and learn it and be able to teach it once the players get here.
Yeah, I'm sure that there will be mistakes made. You make a call or you use a term that may have been from a previous stop, and that's just part of the growing process. But one of the parts of the process that I'm excited about was I had the opportunity to watch the film of the guys that you acquired in free agency, and want to start with Lageman, the linebacker from the Atlanta Falcons. And I know that that's a position that you hold near and dear to your heart. And when I turned the film on, watching him, what I loved about him, downhill linebacker that's decisive, and he's got a great motor, but he's got the conditioning to support that motor.
That's the thing. Being a former linebacker, you look for guys that have certain traits, and he has the traits of he's going to be a leader out there, not because he's standing in front of the huddle, but because he's out there and he's working hard and he's leading guys and he's doing it by example. He's a guy, just like you said, that's going to play downhill, going to be physical, an intelligent player, went to Yale. So, we're ready to get our hands on him and give him as much as he can handle.
Foley Fatukasi on the defensive line, another guy, another late-round draft pick just like Lageman was, and has really had to earn everything he's had in the NFL. Nothing given to those guys when they're a late-round draft pick like that. And from Fatukasi's standpoint, I mean, he didn't play much his rookie season, and then all of a sudden he's a defensive captain in New York. What is the best part of his game on that defensive line?
When you look at him, and when I drafted him.
You did?
Yeah, I was on the coaching staff that drafted him, and the thing about it was he was raw when he came out. Now you can see the talent start to bubble and come out. He's explosive. He has really strong hands, and he's a force in the middle, and that's someone that you're looking for to, help stop the run, plug up the middle, and be a physical presence in the middle for offenses to have to handle.
When did you see that flip for him? Like after a year, halfway through his rookie season, when did you actually see some change for him?
When I actually saw it was when I turned on the film this this offseason and looking at a free agent, I was like, that's the same kid? Yeah, he's different now.
and watching him, one of the things I think that's very rare, it's not very often that you have a one-technique defensive tackle because he plays the 1, he plays the 3, but that one of those guys is elected a team captain. Most of the captains are guys that make big plays, that make a lot of sacks, that make a lot of interceptions, that make a lot of tackles. It's not very often that a nose tackle is elected a captain, and I think that speaks volumes because that's one of the things that I think has been a theme with with the free agent process that you guys executed. You got a lot of captains. How important was that to your football team?
I think it's really important. It just goes to the type of player he is and the type of person he is. He's a guy that is going to be respected, and you get respected by doing your job well and doing it and pulling others along, and that's what leaders do. And he's with the captain there, and we're looking for that same leadership to come here and infuse with the other guys that we have in the defensive line room.
All right, so Darius Williams, another guy that you were able to get in free agency, a local guy,
yes.
Okay, coming home. How excited was he to have the opportunity to come home and to come here and play for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Well, it's always exciting to come home and play in a stadium that you grew up watching the team play in, or you're watching them on TV, but he actually gets to come home and play here be a part of the Jacksonville team. So that's the most important thing for him. He was excited, his family was excited, and to be able to go out and play in front of your kids you grew up with, your family that you've seen, and they can get to the game easily. So that's exciting for him, and we're excited to have him. He's a guy that brings a lot of energy, one that can go out there and make plays for us, and he's a homeboy. So it helps a lot.
The way it played out in Los Angeles, especially last year for him, you got Ramsey and those guys on one side. He was getting a lot of action over there. So, and he stepped up to the plate and made some big plays for the Rams last year.
That's key. Once you're put to the forefront and it's your time, again, they have a all-star corner on the other side, and they think they're going to pick on you on the other side, and you come there and you stand up and you get the stop. That's just something we're looking for down here, that he can come in and help develop with the other corners we have in the back end and trying to keep him making plays the way he did last year.
It's a pretty good room now, by the way, that cornerback room.
It really is. It has veterans back there and also a little bit of youth, so it's going to mix together real well.
When Darius says Duval, it's got a little extra meaning with him, I think, right?
A little extra meaning.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So part of the process of improving your football team, it's coming up here pretty soon, the draft. So who are you going to draft with? Who does Mike Caldwell like?
Well, right now I'm in the lab along with Trent, with Doug, the defense staff. We're in there trying to understand who would be the best fit for us. And we're going to go out there and get the best player, and whoever that may be, we'll be excited for him, and he'll be a Jag, and we'll go out there and we're going to expect big things from him.
That's cool. It's a balance, a challenge right now. You're balancing building a scheme on defense and then all the free agency stuff. It never really ends, but the big first couple of waves are done now, and then the draft, all that's working at the same time. How challenging is that for the coaching staff to have to balance all of that at one time?
It is. It's like a big puzzle.
Yeah.
You get different pieces, and you might get this piece or you might have that piece, and just trying to put it together. So once you get it together, we all can be on the same page, get ready to go out there and have success.
One of the things that's different, I don't know, what year did you come out in the draft?
93.
Okay, you came out in 93. I was 89. And you guys are, I guess, still in the process where these prospects come and visit you. You get, I think, 30 guys
30,
can come in?
Yes.
Did you do that? Was that even – when I came out, we didn't have that.
When I came out, the best thing that I received was a workout, and then after workout, the coach bought me. I think we went to McDonald's, so I got got McDonald's.
Got a free meal.
Got a free meal after going through a couple of workouts. So that's all you wanted, just a chance, an opportunity. And I think when the guys come here, we just want to get comfortable, get them in a different setting, show them what we're here to offer. You got them coming down to Florida, which is beautiful. So that's a big plus for us.
How much do you learn I mean, when you get a prospect to come in and spend some time with you like that, how much can you learn? Do you get a little better feel for the individual and the personality, and does it fit in that short amount of time, or is it just part of the puzzle?
Really, once you get them in, when they come to the combine, you get them for 15 minutes. The agent can kind of prep them for everything. But when you go out to dinner with them or have them in a building for all day, you're able to find that true personality and see if a guy will fit. What buttons can you push to get him, in bad situations? But really, you just want to get to know the person. And you've known the player by watching a film. Just once you spend that time with him, get to know the person behind the player.
Yeah, get an idea of what they may react to better or otherwise, and keep that in your memory bank moving ahead. Coach, thanks for the time. Thanks for coming across the hallway, and always good to see you, and you're always welcome here, and good luck to you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Mike Caldwell, Jaguars defensive coordinator. The Jags are future-focused and ready for a new look in 2022. Join us at the bank this season as Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jags lead the charge. To lock in your seats, visit jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. This is Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Brooks Rehabilitation is looking for exceptional nurses who want to work where miracles happen. They're hiring for RN, LPN, HHA, and CNA positions across their inpatient, skilled nursing, and home healthcare settings. Brooks nurses serve as leaders, advocates, change agents, and care coordinators for their patients. They offer flexible schedules, career advancements, and continuing education, competitive pay, plus bonuses, shift premiums, and sign-on bonuses. Apply now at brooksrehab.org/nurse careers.
Shopping Publix with delivery and curbside pickup powered by Instacart makes getting your groceries more convenient than ever. It's basically the best thing since sliced bread, which you can order from the Publix bakery. You can also get fresh meats and cheeses from the deli, delicious produce, and Publix premium ice cream, all without having to leave your couch or car. Orders are available in as little as 2 hours. Prices vary from in-store. Fees, tips, and taxes may apply. Subject to terms and availability. Visit Publix.com/shop. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Do you know someone whose work in the community deserves the limelight? Nominate them at TIAABank.com/community champion so we can celebrate their impact on equity, education, or the environment. Each champion will enjoy a Jaguars game from VIP field seats, see their story told on the big screens, and receive $1,000 towards their cause. Nominate someone before May 6th. Visit TIAABank.com/community champion for details.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 200s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-738-0165 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
From vintage sneakers to bacon-scented soap to water fountains for your pet, all can be had with a few simple clicks. Problem is, you never really know what you're going to get until they show up at your door. Introducing Ford Blue Advantage. It's used car buying that's built for you. Not only can you shop for used vehicles online, in person, or both, you can also test drive before you buy, so you know exactly what you're getting. Plus, get history reports, vehicle inspections, Ford warranties, and the expertise of factory-trained techs. Visit FordBlueAdvantage.com today.
Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony. Jaguars Today. All Jaguars, all NFL, all the time. 10 to noon weekdays on 1010XL.
For one, his versatility was really they really showed it off this last year. Moving him inside, moving him outside, having the capabilities to be able to kind of live outside, even though, he's pretty thick in stature. and being able to go down inside and still being able to hold up. And I think that's where his primary value is going to be, is he can play a heavy-handed brand of football and hold up inside, yet still be loose enough and offer you enough quickness to be outside if you need it. And I think that combination is something not a lot of guys have. I mean, of course, you're going to talk a lot about his teammate in Jordan Davis, who is just an absolute boulder, somebody you're not going to be able to move, but a totally different type player as far as what he's going to be able to do and what he's going to be asked to do, most likely. So I think Trayvon's going to be a great pro.
That's Cole Kublik of SEC Network. The full interview available on Jaguars.com. He is the analyst on SEC Saturday Night, former Auburn center, and radio host WJOX in Birmingham as well. Got his thoughts on a few of the top SEC prospects coming out, and a lot of those names have been linked to the Jaguars in different mock drafts. Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman, Joe Fortunato, Brent Reber, and our thanks to Mike Caldwell for coming in, Jaguars defensive coordinator. It's a lot going on at the same time. Just getting into town a little later than a lot of coaching staffs might, and then here we go, hit the ground running.
Well, the part we asked him about, just because we did it off the air and said, hey, you're starting to get settled, because a lot of people don't understand, okay, you get a new coaching staff. Well, you also have to change cities. You have a family. Yeah. And you have to try to get the family moved. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts for NFL coaches, because they literally have to be a little bit part gypsy, because that's kind of just the name of the game. And
this is the business you've chosen. Yes.
Well, and that's what they signed up for. So, I mean, I'm not asking anybody to feel sorry for them. I mean, just, that asking people to kind of understand what they have going on in their life, and it's a lot. And so Mike's got a lot going on, and also being a first-time defensive coordinator. And I mean, that's trying to learn to speak the same language. And I brought that up because, I mean, JP, literally when you have and you assemble a staff, a defensive staff or an offensive staff, you're bringing in a lot of guys that but they may all come from different systems. You may have spent some time together in past places, but you also have these different languages that you're all coming from most recently. And so you have to be able to all speak the same language. And so you have to decide on terminology and everything of that nature. So that's not an easy thing to do. Not an easy thing to do at all. And the one thing that I like, what Doug Peterson, and I think he did this, and I think it was very smart to help out Mike, because he's a first-time Caldwell's. Bob Sutton was kept on staff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people maybe don't appreciate and understand this, but Bob Sutton has been an extremely successful defensive coordinator in the National Football League before, most recently with the Kansas City Chiefs, and highly respected. And Urban Meyer hired him. Doug Peterson kept him. Very smart. That will help Mike Caldwell. It's going to be Mike's show, but man, if I'm approaching something for the first time, to have the ability to go to somebody who's been there and done that, bounce ideas off of them, and to get that kind of that free-flowing information, opinions, that's valuable, very valuable, because Mike Caldwell is going to be in a lot of places that he's never been this year. And to have somebody who has been there and to be able to lean on that past experience with somebody on staff, I think is absolutely important.
One of these days, we're going to put a microphone in front of Bob Sutton and get some stories out of that man on the air.
He's got some stories now. I've talked to him,
no doubt.
Off the air.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, he's got some stories.
That would be a fun one for sure. Of course, the draft is 3 weeks away from tonight. You believe that? 3 weeks.
By the way, the guy that you talked to on the podcast from
Cole
Auburn.
Kublik. Yeah, Cole Kublik.
I love his opinion on Trayvon Walker.
Yes, that was.
And I think he's dead on. I think Trayvon Walker is going to be a really good pro when he talks about heavy hands. That's heavy hands. First of all, the hands need to be in the right place to be heavy to begin with, which is a technique thing. Trayvon Walker has excellent hands. They're in the right place. He plays strong. He does have the positional flexibility. He can kick down and play as a 3 technique. He can play defensive end in a 4B. He can do it in a wide 6. So I think he's got a lot of value and will have a lot of value to a team that can use a guy that can play multiple positions. Will he be right at the top of the draft? I don't know if he's going to be right at the top, but he is going to be a good football player. He's one of those guys, JP, I'm talking about that could end up at 1, 2, 3, could end up at 10.
It depends on what team likes what he has to offer, right?
And what other guys
needs.
That's what I'm saying about the guys that you put into a bag and you just pull 5 names out. That's how they may fall. You're just not sure yet because there's a lot of guys that are real close together talent-wise in that top 10, top 12 guys.
This is Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Glad you're with us on 1010XL AM and Jaguars Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube on this Thursday afternoon. You know, earlier you talked about some of the other prospects that you've been looking at on film. We've heard about the big names. Last week we did the big 4, the 2 big tackles, the 2 big defensive linemen, including Walker. But there's a few other names that people will hear early in this draft, and maybe not as early as you would think. But let's start with a guy like you were talking about the Greek guy from Purdue that you like.
Karlaftis,
yes.
I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Correct. George Karlaftis.
George Karlaftis. And he wears a single-digit number 5. And when you watch him play, this guy, he might be the best pass rusher in the draft as far as the smoothest guy having.
Just pure pass rush.
He can do it. Yeah, he really can do. He's got great hips. He's got great bend. He's fluid as can be. And where is he going to be drafted? He's going to be in the first round somewhere. I don't know exactly where.
6'4", 266, and bench press 21. Vertical jump 38. Got up there.
Well, I think he can, and I think he can weigh a little bit more. He could probably play 270, 275, somewhere in that range. But he's a real smooth pass rusher. And he's a guy. That's what I'm saying is that if you're the Jaguars, you could find a way to trade down. Like I said, there's probably not a very strong chance of that. But if you could, that's, I think, where that value is where like a guy like Karlaftis isn't going to end up being. But I think he's an intriguing prospect. He only played football for a short period of time because I think he came to this country at a late age.
He was like in 8th grade.
Didn't start playing football until he got over here. So I think that what that says is that there's a lot of untapped potential still there. And I think it's going to be interesting. And on the flip side of that, you have the safety at Notre Dame,
Kyle Hamilton,
who many people believe that he is and have him listed as the highest rated prospect in the draft. And he does have a lot of skills, and he's got size. He's kind of a different safety in that he almost has the build of a linebacker. He's tall, he's rangy, but I think the one concern that I would have, which you don't see very many 6'4" safeties around, but in today's NFL, a 6'4" safety, you're thinking, can we convert him to linebacker, right? I mean, that's what today's NFL is.
Put a little more weight on him and throw him up there.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But when you look at his 40 time, okay, you got his 40 time there?
I do.
What is it?
4.59.
Okay, that's 4.6.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a hard time because after watching the film of him, he's got ball skills, but there were some moments to where the whole name of safety, okay, is that you're the safety valve, right?
Right.
Last line of defense, right?
Uh-huh.
And he missed some opportunities at the most critical point of the job description of playing safety. He missed the opportunity at making a tackle that saved touchdowns. And when you watched him pursue from a bad angle, I sat there and I said to myself, this guy's not that fast. And this is before I looked at what the reports were, what the numbers were from the combine. And you look at the combine and you see 4.59. Okay, that's 4.6. That's not elite speed, especially for a defensive back. So I have a hard time sitting there saying that he's the highest rated prospect when he runs a 4.59. Okay, if he was a linebacker and he ran 4.59 and he was 6'4" and he was 230 pounds, maybe 225, then you'd be, excited about it because it's a different position, requires different speed. But I'm sorry, I can't get on board with Hamilton being the highest rated prospect because 4.59 doesn't do it for me.
If you rewound to let's say 2-3 months ago and looked at a lot of mock drafts, NFL draft previews, Kayvon Thibodeau's name would have been right at the top of a lot of lists. In fact, early in the process, he was mocked to the Jaguars a lot of these big-time mock drafts. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. What's the story with Kayvon Thibodeau?
He's interesting in that he's not a big guy. Okay, he's kind of a true what you would describe as a linebacker.
He's 6'4", 254 officially.
Okay, so when you compare him to Karlaftis or Aiden Hutchinson or the guy from Alabama, Trayvon Walker.
Georgia, yeah.
Okay, or from Georgia,
yep.
Trayvon Walker. He's much smaller. I mean, I'm not cutting hairs here. I mean, literally, when you watch the tape, you go, that guy is not that big.
Ngakwe kind of thing?
Not quite that small because Ngakwe's like 235.
A little shorter than that.
Yeah, and a little shorter than that. But the point is that he's a little different type of player. He is truly, he's not a guy that you'd say, okay, we're going to put his hand in the ground and play a 4-3. I think he's a true 3-4 linebacker, and he's got some exceptional quickness off the ball. But he doesn't have a lot of moves. Okay, when you pass rush, you have to have moves, and I think that's something that he's still learning. He doesn't have a patented move like Karlaftis has got moves. Aiden Hutchinson has got moves. Trayvon Walker has got power. Okay, this guy he's still trying to figure it out, it seems, and so I think that's one of the reasons why I don't want to say his stock is dropped, because I don't think it has. I think that's why he's rated a notch below some of these other guys at the top, but it's not a very big notch below now, okay? But he's got superior athleticism. So with superior athleticism, you know that the guy has a chance of being great, because when you watch an Aiden Hutchinson, you go, oh, my God, what a phenomenal athlete. You don't say that. Myles Garrett, when you watch the film, you went, oh, my God, right. This guy's sick, okay? But he's a superior athlete, so I think that gives him a chance at improving.
Dante Fowler was that. Fantastic athlete.
Dante Fowler was a phenomenal athlete. I mean, the first time I ever laid eyes on him in person, I was like, oh, my God.
Right.
But this, which I'm pointing at the head if you're listening on radio.
Thank you.
The mind and the body sometimes don't work together. And I'm not saying that to be mean, other than to point out that if Dante had, because and I'm not saying that a guy has to be smart to be able to play football, but you have to have the football instincts. And certain guys have instincts and play instinctual, even though the system, may be a little bit complex, that body naturally takes it over. And with Dante, that never was his strong suit. But athletically, he's one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen.
We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a live look at the Football Performance Center. It's been a rainy day outside, and we'll also go around the National Football League. Our thanks to Mike Caldwell, Jaguars defensive coordinator, who joined us a little earlier on the show. And it's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Brooks Rehabilitation is looking for exceptional nurses who want to work where miracles happen. They're hiring for RN, LPN, HHA, and CNA positions across their inpatient, skilled nursing, and home healthcare settings. Brooks nurses serve as leaders, advocates, change agents, and care coordinators for their patients. They offer flexible schedules, career advancements, and continuing education, competitive pay, plus bonuses, shift premiums, and sign-on bonuses. Apply now at brooksrehab.org/nurse careers.
In America, the future belongs to everyone. So we built the trucks of the future for everyone. Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 44 years straight. Built for performance and capability on and off-road. Because the trucks of the future aren't built for a few. They're built for America. Ford F-Series. Drive one today. Based on 1977 to 2020 calendar year total sales.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Jaguars fans, this year's draft day is taking over the Vegas Strip, and you could be there by entering to win the TIAA Bank Draft Day Sweepstakes at TIAABank.com/draft. One lucky fan will win a trip for two with airfare, hotel, and draft day tickets to see the Jaguars' first pick. No purchase necessary, void where prohibited. Open to legal residents of the U.S. 18 and older. Enter from March 21st to April 8, 2022. Visit TIAABank.com/draft for official rules. Sponsor and administrator, TIAA Bank.
When Jaguars news breaks, you'll hear about it first on 1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour, Thursday afternoon. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. And if you're watching on Jaguars Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or Jaguars.com, you're looking live at the Football Performance Center. And the footprint is taking shape more and more each day, except today, because it's raining cats and dogs off and on today, and it is a big mud pit today. But we're still on track for training camp of 2023. They've been pouring concrete when it's been dry enough the last last week or so since we've had this program. They've added some concrete walls are going up. I saw blocks being put together yesterday, and
They
so
need,
it's pretty cool.
Need to get the monster trucks out there.
That's kind of what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Monster Jam.
Yeah, Monster Jam.
Gravedigger.
Mud Jam.
Love it. So, of course, we're looking forward to the progress there. Progress at the shipyards as well. The Fire Museum has moved down the street. Now, USS Orlick is in town now, right on the riverfront downtown. Yeah. That's pretty cool. They're going to make a permanent home for that, I think, up in the shipyard somewhere. So looking forward to that.
Did they give a timeline on when that would be available?
I don't know that.
Yeah,
that's a good
question.
But it's cool to see downtown.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Pretty cool. Like just driving by it and checking it out. It's going to be a nice addition.
That's a
long time coming.
That's a pretty cool addition to downtown. Right?
Yeah, no doubt about
Very
that.
Very nice.
Looking forward for that first tour of that as well. Hey, let's go around the National Football League.
Let's do
logs.
that.
A lot going on.
A lot.
Around the NFL.
A lot.
Two more coaches.
Big money.
Well, yeah, big money and, both ways, I think. Two more coaches joined the Brian Flores suit against the NFL. Steve Wilkes, the Cardinals head coach in 2018. Ray Horton, an assistant in the league since 94. He interviewed for the Titans job in 2016. And there was a tweet earlier today that brought up a Mike Mularkey podcast interview from a year or so ago when he talked about the process of interviewing as the Titans head coach and felt like that, hey, they told him he already had the job, and that's what this comes from, the Ray Horton part of it. So that will be a continuing story, obviously.
It's, the NFL's got a couple things that are not very positive right now that they're dealing with. Brian Flores' lawsuit being one of them. The reports about Daniel Snyder on multiple fronts.
Sure, they keep adding.
Are not reflecting very well. Congressional inquiries into different organizations, sexual harassment type of things. So, the NFL is, and they'll get through it. They will, because they're going to make, I think, good decisions to make sure that the league is headed in the right direction. But right now, it's Not so good. And Deshaun Watson, I guess, now has to give testimony as to the relationship with some of the consensual relationships that he had with massage therapists. So it's like, wow.
What's going on?
There's a lot going on.
Happening.
The NFL's probably sitting there going, can we get to the draft quickly, please?
Right. Pro Football Talk earlier today cited multiple sources that after his retirement originally, Tom Brady would have been introduced as minority owner of the Dolphins. The report on February 28th that the Dolphins had planned to pursue a Sean Payton-Tom Brady package deal, but then the Brian Flores lawsuit came, filed the same day Brady retired, and the Dolphins pulled the plug on that plan of bringing both together in Miami. That would have been something else.
Well,
obviously with everything going on with Stephen Ross too.
That would have been very interesting, and I don't think there's any doubt that the Bradys can afford to be a part owner of a franchise. Look, both Mr. and Mrs. do very well, and I think the Mrs. does better than the Mr.
Absolutely. Also, somebody else doing very well these days is Stephon Diggs. 4 years, $104 million extension, including $70 million guaranteed dollars. His contract now runs through 2027 with the Bills, a total value of $124 million. Added to the list of wide receiver mega contracts, Tyreek Hill, $72 million guaranteed with the Dolphins. Devontae Adams, $65 million guaranteed with the Raiders.
Big money. That's what I was talking about,
Yes.
big money. And the wide receiver position is crazy. The Deshaun Watson contract, I think, is ridiculous. The contracts for the wide receivers.
How so? How is it ridiculous?
Well,
the amount of money or guaranteed money?
What's the guaranteed amount of money?
Yeah.
For a person that has some unresolved issues? I think that was a poor decision by the Haslams, who admitted that they didn't know what they were doing at the onset of their period of time when they first bought or acquired the Cleveland Browns. But the reality is that when you do a deal like this, you're saying that we didn't know what we were doing. I think the argument could be made that it's very apparent that you still don't know what you're doing. Because when other owners say that that's not a good thing for the NFL, when you give a guy that has issues that kind of guaranteed money, like Stephen Biscotti said, the Baltimore Ravens, yeah, that's a problem. I think that's a big problem. Now, a guy like Devontae Adams and the money that he got, okay. Diggs, okay. I mean, these guys
Proven
are
players.
proven, productive, clean.
Nothing off the field.
No off the field issues. Tyreek Hill,
Off the field
okay,
issues,
he's got some off the field issues. So
He can play.
but he can play like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just. So I mean, I'm glad some of these guys are getting the money and the guaranteed money is coming. I think that's good for NFL players because NFL players have always had that issue that there's very little money that has been guaranteed in their contracts over the years. So I think this is a positive thing, but I also think it needs to be positive from the standpoint of the teams need to be given that to players that don't have any issues.
Nate Hackett and the Broncos using their top 30 visits, interestingly. One of those, an ex-lacrosse star making a visit with the Broncos. Jared Bernhardt was a member of the Maryland lacrosse team last spring and won the award as the nation's best collegiate lacrosse player in 2021. He then grad transferred, played quarterback at Ferris State in Michigan last season, led them to a Division II national championship in football. He'll be a receiver and kick returner in the NFL.
Why not?
What a path.
Why not? Hey, by the way, Patrick Kearney. You remember Patrick Kearney played defensive end for the Atlanta Falcons and also went on to play for the Seattle Seahawks. Was a college lacrosse player at the University of Virginia. And so, look, I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing a guy that played in college lacrosse. I think there's some crossover.
Jim Brown, one of the greatest lacrosse players ever at Syracuse.
There you go.
Ever.
But I think this is a little. This is pretty cool in that, he went somewhere else, played a little football. I mean, good stuff. I mean, I think that's a good decision there. Athletes are athletes, and they all don't make the conversion from one sport to another, but I think lacrosse and football, I think there's some similarities there.
Well, that's great stuff. We'll talk to you again next week.
Looking forward to it.
Joe Fortunato, Brent Reber for Jeff Lageman, and defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell. I'm JP Shadrick. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars